HTML lists. I mean, they seem so simple, don't they? You've got a few tags, some bullet points, and boom, you're done. But what if I told you there's this hidden world of rules and meaning that most people, even experienced developers, get wrong all the time? Well, let's dive in and uncover the secrets behind writing lists the right way. So this is where our story really begins. The web is built on this foundation of, well, forgiveness. As HTML Hill points out here, you can throw pretty much anything at a browser and it's going to try its best to render something. It won't crash, you won't see a big scary error message, it just kind of works. Or at least it seems like it does. And right there, that's the double-edged sword. This forgiving nature is a blessing when you're just starting out, but honestly, it's a curse for professionals. Why? Because it lets us get away with really bad habits. We start using tags for how they look instead of for what they actually mean, and that creates this whole tangled mess of problems just hiding beneath the surface. Okay, so let's start by unpacking this curse a little bit. Why does writing correct HTML even matter if the browser's just going to fix our mistakes for us anyway? That's the big mystery we're going to solve today. Our investigation starts with the two most common suspects you see absolutely everywhere, the ordered and the unordered lists. I mean, these are the workhorses of web content, but do you really know when you're supposed to use each one? First up, we've got the unordered list, or UL. Think of this as just a collection of related things where the order is totally irrelevant. You know, a shopping list, the features on a new phone, the main points of an argument. It really doesn't matter which one you read first, the meaning stays the same. On the flip side, we have the ordered list, OL. And for this one, sequence is everything. This is for your step-by-step instructions, a recipe, a top 10 ranking. If you shuffle the order of these items, the whole thing falls apart. The meaning is just lost. It's a process, a hierarchy. And this side-by-side comparison really just lays it all out perfectly. The key thing to look at here, the real takeaway, is that purpose row. One is for a sequence, the other is for a collection. Just getting this one distinction right is the first huge step to mastering HTML lists. But you know, just when you think you've got it all figured out, our story takes a little twist. Because there's a third list, a kind of mysterious and frankly often misunderstood element that a lot of developers either just ignore completely or use totally wrong. Yeah, what about the description list? See, it used to be called a definition list, and that name caused a ton of confusion. But its real purpose, it's way more powerful than just writing out definitions. So according to the official MDN documentation, the Bible for this stuff, the DL element is for groups of terms and their matching descriptions. It's a way to pair a name with a value, a key with its data. And this example from MDN is just perfect. It illustrates the use case brilliantly. Forget dictionary definitions for a second and think metadata. Here we have a list of stats for Godzilla. Name is the term. Godzilla is the description. Born is the term. 1952 is the description. You see? It's a perfect structure for any kind of key value pair. So this is the big mental shift. Stop thinking definitions and start thinking key value pairs. You can use a DL for glossaries for sure, but also for stuff like user profile info, product specifications, or even a dialogue in a script, right? Where each DT is the speaker and each DD is their line. How cool is that? Okay, now that we know our cast of characters, UL, OL, and DL, it's time to learn the rules of the game. Because how they interact with each other, well, that's governed by some really strict, unbreakable laws. And rule number 1 is the absolute foundation. This quote from MDN says it all. Do not use lists just to get an indent on the page. That's a job for CSS. Using HTML for visual styling is like the cardinal sin of web development because it completely destroys the document's meaning. Just look at this example. On the left, you see a super common mistake. A div just plopped right inside a UL. That's actually invalid HTML. The only direct children an ordered or unordered list are allowed to have are list items, the li tag. So on the right, you see the correct way. The nested list is tucked inside a list item, which keeps the whole structure intact. Let's just break it down into 3 simple steps. It's really easy. First, you start your main list. Second, you create your list item. And third, and this is the key, if you need to nest another list, it has to go inside that list item. It can never, ever be a direct sibling to an LI. That's the golden rule. So we've covered the what and the how, but now we get to the most important part of this whole thing, the why. Why do we follow all these rules? And the answer comes down to one really powerful word: semantics.
No, seriously? Why go through all this trouble? If it looks 5 in the browser, who cares, right? Well, it turns out two very important groups care a lot: search engines and people who use assistive technologies like screen readers.
To really get this, we have to look at HTML's family tree. HTML wasn't born out of some desire to make things look pretty. As this diagram shows, it's a descendant of SGML, a language that was designed for one thing: to give documents structure and meaning. The visual part, that all came way later. Its primary job is to describe the content itself. And this is exactly why it's so critical. This quote from MDN's accessibility guide is basically a direct command: use the correct HTML tags. When a screen reader hits an OL, it can announce list with 5 items, and the user immediately knows they're about to hear a sequence. But if you just faked it with a bunch of divs and CSS to make it look like a list, all that meaning is completely lost. Okay, so let's bring this all home. It's time to stop writing lists by accident and start writing them with real purpose. So here are the core lessons. First, always separate meaning from appearance. HTML is for structure, CSS is for style. Second, choose the right tool for the job: ordered for sequence, unordered for collections, and description lists for those key value pairs. And finally, remember that getting this right isn't just about being a picky developer. It is absolutely essential for accessibility and for SEO. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about the next time you sit down to write some code. Are you just telling the browser how something should look? Or are you actually communicating what it all means? Trust me, the answer to that question makes all the difference.